everybody, thanks very much for joining me once again here at Lisa Horton Crafts. Today I'm going to be making a card. It's quite a simple card, but I wanted to use the new summer wreath and the new words because I just think they're so beautiful, so I wanted to use those today. Okay, so I said in my little banner that this card was going to have a floating element, and the circle is the floating element. Now, these strips of card are added to an acetate circle. So when you put the acetate circle on your background, that gives you the impression that it's just sort of floating there, because you can't really see how it's adhered to the card. So I've used the summer wreath and I've used the bold words, but you'll also see I've used one of the embossing folders in the background. What I wanted to show you was that you could use any embossing folder in the background. It doesn't really matter. I've used 3 on the cards that I'm going to show you today, so you know, don't worry about that. So let's make a start and let me just run through what I've used today. So on this one I used the knitted embossing folder, okay, and I've also used the summer wreath, the bold words, I love these, and the nested scalloped and plain circles to give me my circle background. Okay, first things first, we need to make our floating element. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the circle die that I'm going to be using and put it behind my piece of acetate, and I'm going to stick that so that it doesn't move to the back of the acetate, only temporarily, because I'm gonna move it to die cut eventually. Okay, so there's my circle. Now I need to add my strips of card to this acetate. What I would say is try not to use an acetate that's too thick on this, because when you come to put it through your die cutting machine, the acetate's going to take a little bit of cutting anyway. I would run it through your machine several times, because not only are you cutting through card, you're cutting through card and acetate, and it will take a while to cut. That's not down to the dies or anything, that's just what acetate does. It's a difficult media to cut with, so you know, don't worry about that. So then we need some strips of card, and for this card today I've gone with autumn colours. This one I did was sort of, you know, all purples, but I wanted to try and get away from using the colours I always use, so I've gone for autumnal colours today. And then I've got a little different one to show you right at the end that I've sat and done this morning. Okay, so we need to put our card down, but what I would say is before you put it down, I would lay it out how you want it to look when you've finished. And don't forget that you need to leave a little bit of a gap between each strip. Okay, so you want to be able to see the die behind your card, because that's what's going to give you the impression of this floating element. All right, you can use whatever colours you like in whatever combination you like, it doesn't matter, it's entirely up to you, totally personal choice, and it will change the look of the card depending on what colours you use. So then I'm just going to add my little bit of red at the bottom and a little bit of red at the top. Now what you need to make sure of is that you always cover the cut lines. Okay, have a little bit of a practice with your acetate and see what cuts through your die cutting machine, and obviously all die cutting machines are slightly different, so just remember to follow your manufacturer's guidelines when you're cutting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle. Now you can see that I've already put my tape on the back, because that was going to take me quite a while, so I thought I'd get that bit out of the way. And then I'm starting in the middle, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the middle piece down first, and then I'm going to put the 2 edge pieces down. So I'm going to leave the red off for now, and I'm going to see if I need to add the red in when I've finished. So then the next thing you do is take the circle die off the back and add it to the front. Okay, so your cut line is going to hit that piece at the top and hit this piece at the bottom and just run it through your die cutting machine. If you want to trim these edges off before you run it through, you can do, but all you need to do is make sure that your cutting edge catches those two edge pieces of card, okay, so that you've got a cut through that top piece of card. So I'm not going to put it through my die cutting machine now because it does take a while to run it through and cut it. So this is one that I've already prepared, okay, and you can see that I've duplicated the colours top and bottom so that it's sort of a balanced colour. You don't have to, as I say, it's totally up to you. So then I'm going to add this to my backing card. Now I've used the Pretty Leaves one on this. That's the one I've used for the backing on this one. I love this, one of my favourites. And then I've added it to some of Lisa's fabulous textured cardstock, and then I'm going to add that to my base card. Okay, it's going to be a 10-fold card. I just need to make sure I've got it the right way up. So my floating element is going in the centre here. I haven't put it in the centre on all of them. You can see I've gone slightly to the side on this one. And it just totally depends on what sentiment you're using, what your shape of card is. So, you know, again, personal choice. So I've already put 3D pads on the back of this because it's a floating element. I don't want it to be flat on the card. I want it to sit proud. So I've added my 3D pads. If you wanted it to sit even prouder, you could double up on these and make it sit even higher. So just pop that down there, like so. Okay, and make sure it's straight. Doesn't matter which way around you put the circle. You can have it any way around you like, to be honest. Okay, next element is my summer wreath. Now I've cut this in a dark green and the same textured card that I've used on the background here. So I just wanted it all to tie in, so that's why I've used this brown. And I do love the effect that you get with this. Now I want this to sit right on the edge of the circle. So I've only put my 3D pads on the outside of this wreath shape here. And I'm only doing half. I don't want a full one. I just like the half wreath effect, to be honest. I love the full one, don't get me wrong, but I think the half one looks equally as fabulous. So I just wanted to show you that you don't have to make it into a full wreath if you don't want to. Now you could add a little bit of glue onto the inside of the wreath if you want to, but I personally don't think it needs it, so I'm not going to bother. So all I would say is just make sure that the top and the bottom sort of sit in the middle so that they're in line. Okay, so that, I mean, that's not going anywhere, is it? These 3D pads are fabulous. That's not going to go anywhere. Now then, I've done my sentiment, and again I've used Lisa's texture card in the same colour because I wanted it all to tie in, and again I've raised it up and I've put it on 3D pads. So my sentiment is going down here right at the bottom, but still on the white background, so that that black frame behind it really pops. Okay, and then all I need to do really is add my flowers on here. I've cut lots of the little flowers. I've got hundreds of flowers cut out now. I've got a box full. I just went a little bit mad. So I would always place it first, work out where you're going to put your flowers so that you're not sort of doing it as you go along, just so that you're sort of giving yourself an idea of where everything's going to be when you've added it. Now I am adding these with 3D glue gel because I want these to sit quite proud of the wreath. I don't want it all to be flat. If you're going to raise everything up, then you might as well go the whole hog and raise everything, to my mind. Just a random idea of where you want your leaves. I'm going to add some more of these in because I absolutely love these. I think these are so cute. And then I'm just going to glue them down with my 3D glue gel. Yeah, I really like that. So now I've got an idea of where everything's going. I put my leaves down first, my little buds down first. I'm going to put those flat because they're a little bit fiddly. When I finish this, I'm just going to show you the one I did this morning. And I've done the one I've done this morning because I wanted to show you that you don't have to use a circle. You can use any shape you like. And I just sort of thought this morning, I wonder what it'd look like with that shape. So I thought, I'll do one this morning and then I can show you this afternoon. And I was really, really chuffed with it because I think it looks really classy. I haven't used the summer wreath on it. I have used the bold words, but I haven't used the summer wreath. Just to show that whatever Lisa's bought out in the past works with whatever she's bringing out now. So just add these down here and then I can add my flowers. So 2 little bits on here and then 1 little bit in the middle of these. And then those little tiny flowers I think will probably end up being just added flat on top of these flowers because there isn't really much space to put 3D glue gel on them, is there? Okay, so just add my flowers in the middle. Now you see I went with a brown centre here, obviously because it's supposed to be a sunflower, but it also ties in with the brown strip across the middle. See, there was a little bit of method in my madness. And then my other flowers are just going to the bottom and the top of the sunflower, like so. And then these I'm just going to add quite randomly anywhere that I can think of putting them. So I'm using Lisa's glue on these rather than 3D glue because I don't think there's enough room really to use 3D glue without it showing through, and I don't want that. So let's just find places to add these. And I think if you're adding them sort of flat anyway, just gives your card a little bit of dimension. Let's just see if we can slot that one in there. And then we'll go opposites with this one and slot that one in there. And then put the red one down the bottom, like so. Now you could, if you wanted, add some little dewdrops into these little star-shaped flowers, just to lift those up a little bit if you wanted to. I don't think you need to, but you can if you want, just to give it a little bit more interest. So that's today's. That's the one that I did ready, and you'll see I went round the edge with this one. I just used shaded lilac with a little sponge and just went round the edge just to sort of make it pop on the background card. And then, as I say, I thought, I wonder what other shape I could do. I wonder if it would work with such and such a shape. So if I show you what I used first, and the folder I've used on the one I'm going to show you in a minute was the Weave. I love this, so versatile, really, really clever folder. I've also used the Beautiful Buds, and basically, yes, I know they're out of stock, I know a lot of you have got them, and it was really just to show you that you can use any of Lisa's dies to add to a card like this. I also thought afterwards, rather than just cut a piece of card as your backing card, you could use the bubble squares and cut out a square so that you've got a bit of shape to that piece of backing card if you wanted to. And then I use the nested triangles for my shape. And there's the card that I did this morning, just to show you how different it looks if you use a different shape. So there's the 3 cards that I've done with the floating element. All look completely different, but I think it's worth spending a little bit of time just to make your floating element in the first place. You could use the heart as well. The heart would look amazing. and you could start with a dark at the bottom and go lighter, or vice versa, or you could go across if you wanted to. I just think they just look so different. And again, like I say, the weave on the back of here, just think looks fabulous. What a clever idea, just to make your cards look a little bit different. Thanks very much for joining me, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Bye for now.